Knights defeat the Rabbitohs 29-10. Knights were outstanding. Like I am so happy for the Knights and their fans. I cannot believe how far they have come in less than half a year of rugby league. It is amazing. Like, they're not just getting a lucky draw and scraping through certain teams. Like, they're playing bloody good footy, and they just look so united. They look like a team that has a style of play, and every single person, 1 to 17, is fully bought in. Like, they did that without Jackson Hastings. They did that without Hastings. They're number 7. Like, if Penrith went out and lost to a side without Cleary, most people would go, oh, yeah, they were missing Cleary, though. No one's even mentioning Hastings. Yeah. That shows you how well they played on the weekend.
I just love that everything is going right for the Knights right now, and that's a result of all the hard work they've put in, and they've got through some tough injury periods, and their fans have got through some tough times, but it's just like they keep getting these Sunday afternoon games. It seems like they've played at home the last 12 weeks. I know that's not literally the thing, but so many like home games, Sunday afternoons, the weather's turning it on up in Newcastle, and just the second the final siren goes, the players just go nuts and the fans go nuts. It's just such a great thing, it looks like, to be a part of, the Newcastle Knights at the moment. So I'm so happy for the success that they're having out of plenty of dark years in a row. Not plenty, but a few dark years, I should say. They're so high on confidence. Yeah. And it just, they look like they feel like they're bulletproof at the moment, which I can't believe I'm saying that after where they were early on this season, what they produced last year, but they do. The confidence that they will have, likely now, it looks like going into finals football.
That's crazy, eh? Like, they're essentially locked into finals footy 2 weeks out from the... Because what are they right now?
They're 3 clear of the Rabbitohs, Cows and Roosters on 28 points in 7th.
So they'd essentially need those guys to win every game.
And they'd need to lose both.
So they win next week, they're in.
Yep.
Who they play this week again?
Sharks.
And then who they play the week after? Dragons. So, like, you'd have to say they're going to win one of those matches.
Sharks are at home, Dragons, I believe, are away. So, like, very...
Surely you're beating the Dragons for a final spot. That would be one of the... Surely, you know? So I'd be shocked if they're not going to play finals footy. They may finish as high as 5th. That's crazy. Because, if they beat the Sharkies and they beat the Dragons, they finish 5th.
Big chance at finishing 5th or 6th and getting that home final, which will be very intriguing. Far
out. That's amazing. Onto the game. What I really liked, all the usuals that have been killing it this year. We've already spoken a lot about Kalyn. But what I really liked is the Saifiti brothers. Daniel Saifiti. I thought he was outstanding. I really did. So you had... Jacob Saifiti. I thought Jacob Saifiti started the game really, really well, got through his work, and then Daniel Saifiti obviously came on and scored that try, which was an amazing put down. But the Saifiti brothers, the positive for them is they're still so young. And so if they can find a way to fulfill their potential, like, that's where you could see this team progressing into, like, oh shit, top 4 next year, and maybe they make a challenge, because they've managed to do this with Saifiti brothers probably not playing as well as we know they can play. And I thought that they were really, really good, especially Jacob on the weekend. I thought he started the game outstanding. And then you got Leo Thompson, who was an edge back rower, filled in because they were decimated with injury. He was outstanding on the weekend too. He had 6 tackle breaks in the front row, 25 tackles, only 2 misses. Like, when I look at this forward pack and the ages of their front row rotation, it's exciting. It's really exciting if they can continue to progress, continue to get better as good as we know they can. If Daniel Saifiti and Jacob Saifiti be the best they can be, you're looking at 2 Origin front rowers at your club. Like, when was the last time there was, maybe Petro and Webby? Look, I'm probably forgetting, but like 2 front rowers that are Origin at a club. Eels. But then Regan got dropped.
Yeah.
So they got to a grand final. So if you get Saifiti brothers at their potential, maybe even playing Origin in the future, that's how you challenge for a premiership. That's how you get to that top tier standard. So the good thing for the Knights is they have the cattle. It's just about environment now. It's just about coaching.
Well, Sharks have had certainly a turnaround in form, And I know there's 2 weeks out into the finals, but of the teams 4 through 10, whoever ends up in the 4 and the 8, there's not a side coming in with more momentum and their tails up more than Newcastle Knights right now.
Yeah.
They're so well-rounded. There's not a player in that side that's questionable form at the moment. Like, Phoenix Crossland is going from strength to strength as a number 9. Kurt Mann's back in the team. I thought he was unreal on the weekend. They're well-placed.
Absolutely. And then you look at their backline. That backline, playing well, mixes it with any backline.
Greg Marju, spoken so much about him this season for great reason. And I mentioned a week or two ago, he had a one-off this season, a stinker, and it's a credit to his development in 2023. Just brushed it off, has looked terrific since, had arguably his best game of the season on the weekend, 240 metres, a hat-trick, could have been more than a hat-trick. They're in a good place.
Mate, they are in such a good place. And as I said, like, you look at that back line is as good as any back line in the comp. Like, you put that up against Penrith, Broncos, that can go toe-to-toe. Like, KP can go 1-for-1 with Reece Walsh, Dylan Edwards. Then you got Dom Young, Greg Marju. They can go toe-to-toe with a To'o, with a Taruva, with an Oates, with a Cobbo. Then you look at the centres. Like, they genuinely can go toe-to-toe in the back line. Then you look at the forward pack. As I said, Saifidi at his best, both brothers, Origin players. Tyson Frizzell, Origin player. Leo Thompson, one of the most improved players in the competition. And that's another thing, is when you're looking at coaching and environment, you want to see, are you getting the best out of players? Look at Thompson and Crossland. Together, they're the 2 most improved players in the competition. Individually, you could probably look at some other guys, but those 2 players have come leaps and bounds in like 10 weeks.
Yeah.
That shows a good environment.
And then we look going into finals at depth, any injuries occur. Hastings goes down. Adam Clune had hardly played this season due to injury. Yeah. Steps in, seamless.
Literally seamless. Like, they look just as good, just as smooth on that left edge. It was unbelievable.
The left edge was incredible. And that's the thing. You've got all these wheels turning in the right motion. Like, KP's the icing on the top that they can get to a finals game, they'll do their job. Kalyn can win games on his own because he's such a freak and in unbelievable form.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah. Really, really excited. I just can't wait to see what they do in the recruitment market. I know they brought Cogger, which was, we're given all these reps. It's actually quite surprising they brought Cogger. When you look at, Hastings and Gamble seem to be good enough to get the job done, and I don't think Cogger's a 6. I think he's a 7. But it's going to be, I can't wait to see where they go, what direction they go in recruitment. Do they bring in more forwards? Do they... I can't wait. They're outstanding, and they're so exciting to watch. And I just cannot express enough how happy I am for Kalyn Ponga. I just think it's so good to see him becoming who we know he is. Anything else from the Knights?
No.
Rabbitohs. Look, I'll start with the positives. I thought Cookie worked his ass off. To be honest, there really weren't that many positive. Cam Murray, obviously, when does he not work his ass off? But this looks like a team that has much more going wrong than rugby league.
They just look... I feel like we've said the same sort of things within the last 5-6 weeks, and they just look like a complacent footy side to me, that they're not willing to roll up the sleeves and do the tough stuff through the middle. They're so good in attack, and they know they are. They're like, we've got enough superstars that they'll get us out of trouble. They'll win us games. But that's not working for them at the moment. A couple of superstar players got them across the line against the Dragons the week prior. Well, they went up against a red-hot Knight side last weekend, I should say, and it showed where they're actually at as a football side. I think a good example of this is around the man you just mentioned. That's Damien Cook, who he had one of his best games of the season on the weekend, and he was running the ball. I just feel like they just want to go wide so early and not go through the middle. Damien Cook is one of the best running hookers in the game, if not the best. He's run for, I think, the least metres of his career since he's been an 80-minute or bid-minute hooker for the Bunnies this season, 64 metres per game, lowest since 2017. It's like they've said, because we're so good out wide, just give it. Don't worry about running as often. Should be the opposite. Mate, you're the best runner in the game. You see an opportunity, go, take off.
Well, I haven't seen, like, we used to see the Cam Murray-Cook combination all the time, and I haven't seen that for a while, where you're just going bang, 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 and it's just all through the middle, and then going out to the edges.
And it looks that simple. And what happens then if you do that? Your completion gets higher. You're not defending as much. You're not getting fatigued as early because you're going through the middle. You try and win the middle, and it's just none of it is panning out that way. It's like when Slater said a month ago that quote that stuck in my mind with the Sharkies: do we just go all out attack and try and outpoint them? It's like the Bunnies. It's the opposite. The first 20 minutes, unless we're in the opposition 20, don't go wide. Through the middle. Get in the grind. Yeah. Because we've got the superstars, the points will come. They absolutely will. But they just don't seem willing to do that at the moment.
58% completion.
And they have now, like, they're sitting in 58%.
58%.
That is so poor.
And the first half, at halftime, it was 45. I think from the 16th minute to halftime, so 24-minute period, they made 8 errors. It's 1 every 3 minutes.
And that's all mental. That's not talent. That's mental.
They're sitting in 8th place on 28 points. They have the bye this week. Cool. Even if they do scrape into the finals, they play around 27 against the Roosters. They're probably 7 blokes sin bin in that one again. And they'll go in probably battered and bruised. And even if they play well in that game and win, it's like they'll be going in off one good game of footy. So, wow. I'm so disappointed by them just because we saw what they've been early in the year.
Early in the year, that was their shining trophy, was how gritty they were through the middle. Like, they were so tough through the middle. And I know they're missing some players and some forwards, but that does not excuse 58% completion rate. Like, I just think that, and I know, fans hate when I say this, but I think that, and the players absolutely should take responsibility for what they're playing. Not saying it's not the players' fault. I just think that it seems to me like an unhappy dressing room. I haven't seen the Rabbitohs, even when they've gone through periods where they've lost by 50, I haven't seen them look this unhappy on a rugby league field in quite a while. Now, is that their own fault because they're not committing to what they need to commit to? Is it other things? I'm not sure. But no, Matty, you could speak about where you feel they're at. It looks like an unhappy changing room, or at least an unhappy environment.
Well, it does, especially because the way that they played at the start of the year, the first 11 rounds, it looked like they were having more fun than any team in the competition. And now it just doesn't seem that way at all. I can't put my finger on it. It's been, again, they were sitting first or second after round 11. I just don't know what's gone wrong. It's a stunning turnaround. Like, we all talk about the Broncos last year, how they, and granted, they went from 4th to 9th in like 5 weeks or something. But if South missed the finals, I'd love to know if there's ever been a team, I'm sure there has, but not in my memory, a team that's been first halfway through the year to not make the finals. It's been a pretty significant fall from grace.
Crazy to think the Roosters might make the finals and the Rabbitohs might not. Far out.
Well, I mean, if they played tomorrow, you'd probably have Roosters as favourites to win the game.
Yeah, probably.
Which is crazy.
I don't know. They look frustrated. They don't look like they're enjoying their footy. Even when I can understand by the end of the match, you get frustrated, you do silly things, and obviously, big Trelly Mitt, silly.
Trelly Mitt, one of his worst games of his career. It just was like he ran for 200 metres, so he was having a crack. But the discipline was not there. Like, he
looked frustrated.
He looked so frustrated. And he had 3 errors, a couple of penalties. He got that late sin bin, which obviously put a line through that. But he was trying, but just some real ill discipline in the errors he was making, throwing some passes when they didn't need to be. And this is a Bunny side playing for their survival this season.
Well, I always think that, like, you look at Trell, when he's smiling and enjoying his footy, that's when he's playing his best footy. And when he runs out, at the moment, he just doesn't look like he's smiling and enjoying it. And it come out in the footy field, he got frustrated, he got angry, and he's an aggressive big boy, so he's going to take his anger out. This is rugby league; it's filled with a bunch of aggressive big boys. But unfortunately, because he's the main guy, you just can't do it.
I think the
positive though is that at the very least, he's ripping in. Like, he's still ripping in.
Yeah.
And I think that's a positive, that he's still ripping in. But just the frustration, just got to find a way to, like, channel it in a different direction.
Yeah, and I think the proof's in the pudding with the stats and with that completion rate, which is one of the worst we've seen in a long time from any side, that they're using the ball too much. They're Just slow it down. Play through the guts. It'll come. It'll come.
And the problem is it's essentially across the board, though. It's not like we talk about Trell because he's the main guy, he's a superstar, and also because he's a once-in-a-lifetime player. Yeah. So you talk about him, but he's not the only one. Like,
good God, no.
Across the board, just nowhere near where they should be playing. So whatever is going on, change room environment, I hope they can sort it because they don't look happy. And that was the one thing that I always loved about the Rabbitohs boys is that win, lose or draw, they seemed like a happy, tight bunch. They still seem tight as a crew, but there seems to be a lot more going on that we can see. Like for example, Lockie Ilias, that when he kicked it out, that's not Lockie Ilias. He's so much better than that. Like that's not even close to how good Lockie Ilias is. So like I just wonder like what's happening mentally for him to make that mistake because he is a lifetime better than that. He is a really good 7.
Campbell Graham falling off soft one-on-one.
Campbell Graham.
We never see that.
We never see that. No, that's what I mean. So across the board, we're seeing guys that are so much better than this. It just doesn't seem to be. It's shocking. Like when I saw Campbell Graham falling off tackles, like Campbell Graham's literally one of my favourite players in the competition. And I go back through his career, I don't think you could find a game where you'd go, nah, didn't play that well. Like he has been Mr. Consistent at the Rabbitohs. And I know he's dealing with injuries. He's got a bad sternum problem. He gets needled up before the game and at half time. But yeah, just these performances that, they're so much better than that. Like Keon killed it in Origin. Cody killed it in Origin.
Well, was it coming out of Origin when they had these barnstorming games like Cody, he's going to take this confidence from Origin and fly home, and he hasn't. And as I said, it's not pointing their finger at any one individual. Just as a team, they're not there.
Yeah, so hopefully, they're definitely the only team in the comp that they could rock up in a week's time and blow someone off the park and just turn everything around. They've been like that for years. So I hope they do. I really do hope they do.
I think, this is just my opinion, I think South need to roll the dice on this Latrell Mitchell suspension because every game's going to be an elimination final, basically.
Challenge it, do you mean?
Yeah, like challenge the grading, make it, because it's grade 2, I reckon challenge it, go to grade 1, dangerous contact, and get away with a fine.
Would grade 1 be a fine, would it?
Grade 1 would be a fine.
Well, they have to. Imagine, like, if they don't.
If they don't, then he misses the Roosters game, and then that could be season over.
They lose, and it's like, you got to do it.
Yeah. That's just disappointing for the Roosters. Really is. Sorry, for the Rabbitohs. Not disappointing for the Roosters. It's fucking great for the Roosters. But I hope they'll turn around. I actually really like the Rabbitohs. They're a great group of boys and incredible to watch. At their best, rugby league doesn't get much better.
They're the best team to watch in the NRL, and that's why it's so disappointing. Because it's not even like we saw it last year, the year before. We've seen it this season. I want to see it again. I want to see it again in finals.
That run they went on, I was like, I actually had them on an even playing field with Penrith when they went on that run earlier in the year because they were doing it against all the top tier sides. So, anyway.